Let me hit you with a truth bomb real quick. Nobody is born smart. Like, imagine a baby coming out of the hospital holding a physics textbook, adjusting its tiny glasses, and saying, "Mother, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell." Impossible. Babies can't even hold their own neck up. They look like confused potatoes. But somewhere along the way, we start believing this stupid myth that certain people just pop into existence with a higher IQ, like limited edition Pokemon. Here's the plot twist. Smart isn't something you are, it's something you build, the same way you build strength, confidence, or a questionable gym habit. And once you get this, everything changes. If you're watching this video, I'm willing to bet you've had at least one of those moments where you suddenly question if your brain is actually working, or if it's still buffering. Like when someone explains something once, literally one time, and the person next to you nods like they've already unlocked the advanced level, downloaded the expansion pack, and solved life. Meanwhile, you're sitting there thinking, "Bro, I'm still trying to understand the first sentence. Why is this so fast?" Or maybe you've tried learning a new skill, coding, a language, a hobby, and everyone else seems to get it instantly, while you're stuck Googling, "Why am I like this?" Or you open a book to study, read the same paragraph 8 times, and your brain goes, "Nope." Try again. 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 Still no. At this point, even the paragraph is tired of you. And then there's that awful comparison game. Someone says, "Oh, this is easy." And your soul leaves your body. You start telling yourself stories like, "I guess I'm just slow. I'm not one of the smart ones. Maybe intelligence skipped me like a software update." But here's the thing, you're not broken, slow, or behind. You're just human. And you've been judging your intelligence by other people's highlight reels and your own worst moments. This video gets you. Because the truth is, you're not lacking brains, you're lacking the system smart people accidentally learned. And once you get the system, you're unstoppable. Here's the biggest plot twist of becoming smarter. Most people are doing the exact opposite of what actually works, and they don't even realize it. We grow up believing smartness is this magical thing, like some kids were born with a built-in SSD while the rest of us are running on old, dusty hard drives from 1999. So the biggest mistake? Trying to act smart instead of actually learning how to become smart. Let me explain. Most people think intelligence is about looking impressive. So they copy the performance, not the process. They buy aesthetic notebooks, color-coded pens, and those pastel sticky notes that look like they belong in a Pinterest museum. Then they take pretty notes, highlight everything until the book looks like a rainbow exploded, and call it studying. Spoiler. Your brain doesn't get smarter because your notes look like an Instagram flat lay. Others binge motivational videos like it's a Netflix series. They watch how to build discipline, how to focus, how to become a genius in 24 hours, pause at the dramatic quotes, and then go right back to scrolling for the next video that tells them the same thing. It's like trying to get fit by watching other people do push-ups. And then there's my personal favorite. People who think repeating something 50 times is the same as understanding it. They sit there like, "Okay, I memorized it." 5 minutes later. What was that thing again? Because memorizing without comprehension is just temporary suffering. Another common mistake? Believing that feeling confused means you're stupid. No. Confusion is literally the starting point of learning. If you already understood it, you wouldn't be learning in the first place. But the world has trained us to hide our confusion and pretend like we get it, because apparently asking questions is illegal in some mental universe. And so the cycle continues. Fake confidence, fake productivity, real frustration. People end up thinking they're not smart, when actually, they're just using the wrong method, the wrong expectations, and the wrong definition of intelligence. The good news? Fixing this is way easier than you think. Let's be honest for a second. You don't want to be smart just for the sake of it. Nobody wakes up and says, "Ah yes, today I shall increase my cognitive horsepower for recreational purposes." No. deep down, the real desire is something else. You want confidence, that calm feeling of "I can handle this." You want respect, not necessarily from the whole world, but at least from yourself. You want freedom, the ability to learn anything, solve problems, and not feel stuck or dependent on others. You want control over your time, your skills, your future. Being smart isn't about impressing people, it's about not being scared of life. In the moment you realize intelligence is a tool, not a personality trait, everything changes. Because tools can be learned, upgraded, sharpened. And that means you're not trying to become someone else. You're trying to become the version of you that feels capable. Alright, here's the big secret nobody bothered to tell you in school. Smart people aren't born smart, they build systems that make them look smart. That's it. That's the whole magic trick. The world loves the idea that intelligence is some rare superpower. But in reality, it's much more boring and much more achievable. Smart people simply learn how to learn better than the rest. They're not faster thinkers, they're better organizers of thoughts. They're not blessed with perfect memory, they just use techniques that keep things from leaking out of their brains. They're not instantly good at everything, they just don't quit after the confusing phase, which is where most people tap out. Let's break that down. 1. Intelligence is a skill, not a species. Think of your brain like a smartphone. Some people use their phone for calls, memes, and WhatsApp statuses. Others use the same phone to edit videos, build businesses, solve problems, and create systems. The hardware is similar, the apps are different. Your intelligence isn't the processor. Your intelligence is the software you install. Smart people update their software. Everyone else keeps using the factory settings. 2. Confusion is a feature, not a flaw. You know that moment when you're learning something new and your brain starts overheating like a cheap laptop? That I don't get this moment? Smart people don't run away from that feeling, they recognize it. They know confusion is literally the brain rewiring itself. Meanwhile, the rest of us panic, assume we're dumb, and quit right before the breakthrough. Imagine going to the gym and saying, "My muscles hurt, I must not be made for exercise." No, buddy. That's the process. 3. Smart people break problems into tiny, non-scary pieces. Most of us attack problems like, "Let me understand everything at once." And then our brain, being loyal and protective, shuts down for our safety. Smart people zoom in. Instead of trying to understand the entire topic, they find the one confusing chunk, poke at it, break it apart, and master just that tiny piece. Once that piece makes sense, the next piece becomes easier, and so on, until the whole thing clicks. It's like eating a giant pizza. You don't shove the whole thing in your mouth, unless you're emotionally damaged. You eat it slice by slice. 4. They learn by doing, not by drowning in theory. Most people try to understand things in their head before trying them in real life. But your brain doesn't learn from thinking about it. It learns from engaging with it. Smart people get confused, try again, adjust, repeat. It's messy, chaotic, unglamorous, but extremely effective. Think about how babies learn to walk. They don't read the 7 habits of highly effective toddlers. They stand, fall, scream, try again, and boom, they walk. Adults? We avoid falling. So we avoid learning. 5. Smart people build mental models, not memorized facts. This one's big. Most people memorize. Smart people connect. For example, if they learn something about physics, they link it with something they learned about math, which connects to something about real life, which reminds them of a video they saw last week. Their brain becomes a web, everything attached to everything else. Meanwhile, memorizing people are like, "I know this one fact." But only if you ask in the exact same way it was written in the book. Otherwise, "I don't know who you're talking to." Mental models make information flexible. They let you understand instead of just recall. 6. Smart people use friction as a compass. This is subtle but powerful. When something feels uncomfortable, a topic, a skill, a conversation, they don't avoid it. They lean into it. Because they know discomfort equals growth happening beneath the surface. It's like when you stretch a rubber band. It resists at first, but that's exactly what lets it expand. The average mindset avoids friction. The smart mindset follows it. 7. Smart people ask great questions. Not fancy ones, simple ones. What exactly don't I understand here? What's the first tiny step? What's the real goal? How can I make this easier? How would a beginner think about this? These questions force the brain to organize the chaos. Meanwhile, most people don't ask questions, they just panic, then procrastinate, then pretend they're not smart enough. You know this cycle, right? 8. Smart people simplify everything, brutally. If something sounds complicated, they break it down until it becomes obvious. Ever seen a genuinely smart person explain something? They don't use big words to sound impressive. They use simple words because they actually understand it. Simple equals clear. Clear equals usable. Usable equals powerful. The people who use big words? Yeah, they're usually hiding confusion behind vocabulary. 9. Smart people build habits that amplify their brain. Learning doesn't come from one giant burst of motivation. It comes from tiny daily habits that stack up over time. Reading 10 pages. Practicing 20 minutes. Solving one problem. Asking one question. Taking one note. Reflecting for 30 seconds. You don't see the results immediately. But after a few weeks, your brain becomes sharper. After a few months, you feel different. After a year, people start asking, "Bro, how did you get so smart suddenly?" Suddenly. As if you install the brain update overnight. 10. Smart people protect their focus like it's treasure. They know attention is limited. They don't scatter it everywhere. They pick what matters, zoom in, and do it deeply, even if only for a short time. Because deep focus beats long hours every single time. Smart people don't depend on natural talent. They depend on repeatable systems. And systems can be learned. By anyone. Including you. Your intelligence is not fixed. It's stretchable. Trainable. Upgradable. The moment you stop asking, "Am I smart?" and start asking, "What system am I using?" the entire game changes. This is the principle that turns ordinary people into smart people. And now that you know the mechanism, it's time to see it in action. Picture this. It's a random Tuesday evening. You're sitting at your desk, mentally preparing to finally understand a topic you've been avoiding since the dinosaurs. Let's say it's something scary, like basic math, coding, or your electricity bill. You open the book/video/tutorial with full confidence. You whisper to yourself, "Today, I will become a genius." The universe laughs quietly. 5 minutes in, you're lost. Not regular lost, Google Maps has given up on you lost. Your brain feels like it's staring at alien symbols. Your eyes drift toward your phone. Suddenly, TikTok looks like it genuinely cares about your future. Meanwhile, in an alternate universe, there's a smart person you doing the same task, but with a different approach. Let's compare. You, old system. You stare at the whole chapter like it's a monster boss in a video game. You try to understand everything at once. Confusion hits, frustration rises, you binge snacks, call yourself dumb, close the book, pretend today never happened. Smart person you, new system. They open the same chapter, and immediately do something weird. They look for the one thing that confuses them the most. Just one. Not the whole topic. Not the whole jungle, just one tree. Ah, this formula. This is the problem. They isolate it, zoom in, and try to understand only that. They play with examples. They try a smaller version of the problem. They ask, "Okay, what is this actually trying to say?" They Google just that one concept. They draw a tiny diagram that looks like a toddler made it, but hey, It works. 10 minutes later. Click. It makes sense. And because that piece finally makes sense, the next piece becomes easier. And then the next. And before they know it, the whole chapter looks learnable. Same brain. Same topic. Different system. The old you thinks smartness is natural talent. The new you understands it's just breaking things into bite-sized problems and solving them step by step. This is the moment you realize. You weren't struggling because you were dumb. You were struggling because your strategy sucked. Okay, now that you understand the principle, let's turn it into something you can actually use today. Because knowing the theory is cute, but applying it is what makes you smarter. Here's the simple, repeatable system smart people use, and now it's yours too. Step 1. Identify the confusion point. Don't study the whole topic at once. Don't even study the whole chapter. Just ask. What is the exact part that I don't understand? Circle it. Highlight it. Point at it dramatically if needed. This one step alone removes 70% of the overwhelm. Step 2. Break it into a smaller version. If the full concept is too big, shrink it. Use smaller numbers, simpler examples, or a basic version of the problem. Your brain learns faster when things feel safe and manageable. Step 3. Re-explain it in your own words. Out loud. Or on paper. Or to your dog. Dogs are great listeners. If you can explain it simply, you've understood it. If you can't, you just found where to focus next. Step 4. Create a tiny practice loop. Do one problem. Then another. Then a slightly harder one. Think of it like leveling up in a game, small battles before the boss fight. Repetition builds confidence way faster than passive reading. Step 5. Connect it to something you already know. A story, a real-life example, a previous topic, anything. Your brain loves connections. It stores information like a web, not like a filing cabinet. Step 6. Do a 30-second reflection. At the end, ask yourself, what did I actually learn? This tiny ritual locks the information in your long-term memory. Here's a trick smart people use without even realizing it. The future you checkpoint. It's ridiculously simple, but scary effective. Every time you learn something new, a concept, a skill, a technique, pause for 10 seconds and imagine a future you trying to use that information. Not the super ideal, perfect version of you. I mean the real future you. The one who's tired, mildly confused, maybe hungry, probably scrolling through memes. Now ask. Would future me understand this? Or will they stare at it like it's ancient hieroglyphics? If the answer is yeah, future me has no chance. Then you simplify it. Break it. Rewrite it. Draw it. Add an example. Turn it into a one-line summary. Create a silly analogy. You basically teach your future self the way you wish someone had taught you. This trick works because it forces clarity. It turns learning into communication, not memorization. And the moment you can explain something to the lazy future you have officially mastered it. Use this checkpoint every time you study, and knowledge stops leaking out of your brain. So here's the truth you probably already feel by now. You were never not smart. You were never slow, or behind, or missing something everyone else magically had. You just didn't have the system. But now you do. And the moment you start using it, identifying the confusion point, breaking things down, practicing in tiny loops, teaching your future self, you'll notice something strange happening. Learning gets easier. Your confidence grows quietly. You stop feeling scared of new topics. And your mind stops treating every challenge like a personal attack. This isn't about becoming some genius-level superhuman. It's about becoming capable in a way that actually shows up in your life. Imagine 6 months from now. You pick up any topic, any skill, and instead of panicking, you go, okay, cool. I know how to learn this. That's what being smart really is. If you felt even one moment of aha, this makes sense. Stick around, subscribe, or watch another video. Not because I said so, but because you're building a version of yourself that's unstoppable. In that journey, we're just getting started.